So, ladies and gentlemen, today I want us to have a simple login form, or not a login form, but registration form, which we shall connect with a database at the backend. The database you'll be using a localhost, MySQL, PHP. So I need to have three files. So my first file, I call it index.html. That will be my first file. Then I'll need to have another file for purpose of styling. So I'll call it style CSS. Then I need to have a third file. Sorry, let me just call it style CSS so that I ensure I have one. Then I'll create the third one, which I need to connect from the front end, which is the form which is on our end, then the database on the back end. So I'll call it connect.php. So that is our file. So let's create the form. So the form will be created using an HTML file. So I'll press Shift on this. When you use VS Code, then you press Shift. When you have the exclamation mark, press, then these basic HTML elements will be filled. So I'll call the form, the name, the title of the form. You can say this form is for purposes of registering. So I can call it register. Then we need to have that form, right? So we'll create form. So for you to create a form, you must use the form keyword, right? Then I can give it for purpose of styling. I can give it a class name. So I can say class, right? Say class, enter, then I can call it one. Then action. So when we click maybe submit or register on this button, then what happens, right? So we need to save the data on the backend. So we need to have a PHP script. So the name of that PHP script file should be in this action name. And you can see that we used the word connect. So here we'll have connect, that PHP, right? Then we can now create a form. So I need to have something like a border enclosing this form. So for us to have that, then I need to have something like field set. So when you have field set, you can check in a browser what we have. So I can say, let me go live. So when you go live, then you should be able to see something like this on your browser. You should be able to see something like that. So if you see something like this, you see we have what? These borders. So for us to have the name so that the user understand that this button is for register, then we need to have something in between here saying that this is for registering purposes. So that link for us to say that this is a registering button, then we need to get back to our form, right? Then here you have what we call the legend. So when you have legend, then say register, right? When you say register, and check on our form, then you'll realize that in the form, now has what? Has this information here in between this border and that form is for registering. So we have what? This register. So we can get back to um, to add other controls. So I was saying that we need to have this form having the username, the password, and register. Let's just have two things to add on. So we get back to our HTML file. So you get back to our HTML file. So this form, we are saying we need to have two things, and I'm saying we need to have, let's say, username, password, and we have the button for submit. So we can have a label. So label for, let's say, username, let's say first name. Label for instead of user, let's say first name, because registering, you can have first name, then the label is first name, because that is our label, first name. then we need to declare that input type, this one should be a first name. And you can see that my tab9 has copied that, so I just press enter. You have input type text, the ID I can give it the first name, then the name I can give it the first name, then I have these breaks. So these breaks will allow me to have in two different lines this the element of a form. So if I save it, then I go back to my form. If you go back to your form, then you realize that uh, that one has been implemented. That one has been implemented. So you can see on the form that you have that bit, you have this bit, right? First name. You can have the second name. But this first name appears, I need them to have to be one word. I don't like this space. So I want them to be one word. So I'll get back to the VS Code so that I have so here I can have it as one word, then I can have full colon at that end. I can have full colon. That's now looks better. So I can have the second name. So I have label for, let's say, last name. So I can say L name, right? Then I can say here last name as one word, last name, then I have full colon. I can have the input type. So input type, text, ID is last name is last name, then I have that and that. So if you have that, then let's check what we have in our browser. Let's check what we have now in our browser. So in our browser, you see we have that, right? That one looks better. Then you can have the third one is password and register. You can have the third one password and register. So let's get back to our VS Code. So in our VS Code, we can have password as third element. So we can have sorry, you can have label, right? You can say label is for pass. Can call it pass. Let me just call it password. Let me just call it password for easy remembrance. So I can have password. Then I can say this is our password. Then you need to define our input type. You need to define our input type. So we can have input type, right? So these are the one you've seen is text. So we need to have this one as password, input type, password, then ID. We need to have ID as password. Give everything password, then the name. You can say still password. And then you can have the BR. Sorry, you can have the double BR. Right. So we need to cross that. Then the BR and again BR. Right. So the breaks. Then lastly, we need to have this a bit better. Right. So you can say button. You can say button. Then the name of that button should be submit, not submit, but register. Register. Say register. Right. When you save that and go back to our browser, so and transit to our browser. So you see we now have a form. So this form has first name, has last name, has password and register. So the other thing that we need to look at is how do we style this? How does this file, how this form becomes appealing to the user? How does it becomes appealing to the user? So if we get back to our VS Code, let's transit back to our VS Code. Now we have this VS Code. So remember, we've created this index file and we have this style. And I say styles for purpose of having a form appealing to the user. So for us to do that, then we need to link the two files. And that is what we are going to do in our next video. Thank you for listening. We can pause, try, create that form. Then we meet in the next part where we start the form. Then we see how to progress. Thank you very much.